who's ready to talk about the funniest movie I've seen all year.
This, I gotta say, I've seen a lot of Kevin James sitcoms. This had me rolling. It's good for the wife and kids, you know. I mean, when I get to see the kids on the weekends.
And it's worth noting that you're banned from seeing the kids because you keep showing them that footage of that monk immolating himself. And that's why.
I mean, it's important that they know. So.
Yeah, but every morning, Craig.
I mean, if there's anything that's gonna get him out of bed, you know.
I think I'd go back to bed.
Well, no. See, it's the threat. It's the threat. I'm gonna show you the.
Get up, or it's
yeah.
It's like the prayer closet, but it's just like there's just the projector in there showing that footage on a loop, and you lock your children in.
What's more frightening is it seems to imply that you'll make them immolate themselves, which is a new level of coercion that I don't yet understand as a parent.
Yeah, you're next, kid.
So it's important for the court to know that I've never verbally said that, but that is what's happening. Yeah. I do keep gas cans strategically placed throughout the house.
Yeah, you keep waving matches in front of their faces.
Ooh, you want this so bad, don't you?
Would be a shame if Daddy lost his grip on this match, wouldn't it?
You're lighting their birthday candles, but for every candle you strike a match, put it up to their face, and then move it over to the candle on the cake.
Yeah, you want the 18th birthday to be the most frightening one.
Yeah,
there's the most chances.
Yeah, actually, the older they get, the more candles and the more frightening it gets.
Yeah. The closer the match gets to their face. Yeah. They know who's boss around here.
Hello and welcome to Swim Fans, Unknown Pleasures, the podcast not run by three family annihilators. I am your co-host, hand being crucified over and over again. I'm Josh McKenzie.
You have everything as an artist and a podcaster, but you lack a certain motherliness. I'm Craig Neeson.
I'm cold, rotten, and indifferent. I'm Jennifer Hawking.
This week on Unknown Pleasures, we are talking the 1966 Ingmar Bergman film, Persona.
Just do it.
You do lack motherliness, Craig.
I do. Yeah. I've been trying to.
We just covered that, in fact.
Yeah. I have these, like, you know, the learn to hold a baby. I have those dummies, you know, that with internal sensors, and yeah, I kill them every time.
Babysitting Mama.
Yeah, those
you're the world's lowest score in Babysitting Mama.
Those readouts after I'm done with putting the baby to bed are grim.
Yeah, I'm picturing a guy at like a console, like it's like a Dr. Strangelove. He's turning around and he's like, "Sir, he's dismembered another one. We don't. There are no knives left in the house. We don't know how it keeps happening."
Your Wii console is begging you to connect to the internet so it can report you.
Sir, another one's been turned inside out. We're not even sure how it's happening.
For some reason, on the app that's meant to like show you how to rear a baby, there's a kill to death ratio that I've unlocked.
It's 1-0.
If you haven't seen Persona, this is the story of Elizabeth. She is a stage actor. And suddenly she's recently fallen mute, and also she has like stopped moving with purpose. Like she is fully like awake and cognizant, but she is just lying in bed at this hospital, and she does not speak. So she has a nurse, Alma, who tends to her. And after a little while of this sort of tending, the doctor goes in to see Elizabeth, and she's like, "Okay, I know your fucking game. This is like fun for you. This is a role you're playing." So the doctor sends Alma and Elizabeth to her house on the seaside. So the two women are there. Like Elizabeth is now fully like up and moving around and doing stuff, but she's still not speaking. So Alma, she becomes a little bit of a chatterbox. She just begins sort of yapping to Elizabeth. And at first it's just sort of like, daily chit chat. But after they've been at the house for a little while, they get very drunk, and they've gotten a bit more like physically close. So Alma begins to like confide in Elizabeth. She tells her of this time when she cheated on her longtime fiance, boyfriend type situation. She says, I was only unfaithful once. I went to a beach. I met like a strange woman. And then both of us had sex with these two, I have to imagine, teenagers that came up to us on the beach. And she talks about how like that was the finest orgasm she's ever had before or since, and how much that meant to her. So in Elizabeth, Alma finds a confidant, a silent partner that she can confess to and confide in. That's all well and good until Alma discovers that Elizabeth has recorded these stories that Alma has told her, and she is sending those stories back to the doctor. So Alma is, of course, quite hurt by this. And it's, she's heard that not only are her secrets being sort of repeated in this sort of callous way, but also that Elizabeth mentions that she's been like studying Alma, like she's a topic of research, or like a well from which to mine artistry from. Alma immediately starts being weird around Elizabeth. Like she sort of stops talking to her. There's a scene where Alma breaks a glass by accident and purposefully doesn't pick up all of the broken glass so that Elizabeth will like walk over top of it. And then finally it comes to a head. Alma's like, you told all my secrets. You've been using me. You're so cruel. You're so cold. And then this sort of escalates. They're outside and they move inside the house. And it sort of escalates to this point where Alma is about to like hurl boiling water onto Elizabeth. And finally she's able to like get Elizabeth to say something when she threatens her with the water. And so Elizabeth is finally like, don't do this. Don't permanently scar me. And like, this is the first time that Elizabeth has spoken. Like Alma had a dream where she thought that Elizabeth had spoken to her, but like this is like the first time like concretely that she's spoken. So Alma continues to like browbeat her that she's a terrible person, all of this stuff. But then Alma's like, what am I doing? Like, I'm literally a nurse and I'm here to help you. Why am I being this way? So she tries to follow after Elizabeth, but like, it seems like there's been sort of a fracturing in the relationship. Things proceed this way until Elizabeth's husband shows up at the house sort of mysteriously, and he begins talking to Alma, but he keeps calling Alma Elizabeth. And so at first Alma's like, hey, I'm not your wife, man. Like, I'm the wrong lady. But he keeps referring to her in that way. And it isn't long before Alma, the two women's identities sort of like merge or become fluid or something, and Alma stops protesting and she just sort of plays this role of being Elizabeth, and she and Elizabeth's husband have sex together. And then there's this sort of interesting like double monologue scene where we see from Alma's POV, but the camera's like on Elizabeth, and it's this long monologue about how Elizabeth had everything, but motherhood was something that she wanted to try. But then when she got pregnant and she was pregnant, she became fearful of having the baby because of what it would do to her body, because of the responsibility, because of all this stuff. So when the baby was born, she hated him, and she's repulsed by him. And then that same monologue is done again, but this time the camera's on Alma. So we have sort of this sort of like double monologue situation. And then finally after this, Alma begins to become meaningfully distinct from Elizabeth again. The end of the film is there's like a film crew there, and they are sort of like filming Elizabeth, and it becomes the movie, because I didn't say this earlier, but it becomes the movie that Elizabeth's son is watching like when the film first opens. So it becomes like a sort of cyclical kind of experience. I'll go first. I mean, I brought this for Unknown Pleasures, so I'll just keep fucking yapping. This is my first time. I know that this is a movie that both Jennifer and Craig have seen multiple times and feel strongly about. And so this was a perfect like Unknown Pleasures pick for me, because this has been like a film blind spot. 12 years ago, Jennifer gave me her like Blu-ray of this. So I have like an old Criterion edition of this. It just never cracked the cover of. But I mean, yeah, this is pretty great. The movie's fucking gorgeous. This is one of those, like, I feel like it's going to be one of those reviews where I'm like, yeah, this amazingly iconic movie was pretty good, actually.
Yeah. So it's one of those.
But yeah, I mean, it's gorgeous. There's so much, a lot of the framing in this movie is so like tight on Alma and Elizabeth, and it's meaningful because like the two women's identities like merge, and you're sort of left wondering if they're meaningfully distinct at all. There's a trillion ways to read this movie, but like there's all these shots of like the two women in like a medium close where their faces are like overlapping, and like in another movie the composition would be quite awkward, but in this it's quite like artistic, and like the black and white really sells this sort of graphic quality to it. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just really wonderful. I mean, like, I feel like I came to a conclusion of what I felt the movie was about quite quickly, which could be facile because this is one of those movies where there's like 1,400 ways to read it. But I mean, I felt that I came to a conclusion about what I found most resonant about it in a way that I thought was really effective. And I thought the movie really said something interesting kind of about human consciousness in a way that I don't know that I've seen a movie like talk about in this way. The filmmaking's really audacious. Like there's, in some ways, this movie feels like the movie that you make in a movie if you're trying to make fun of like experimental film. But like this was like the blueprint, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like this is where the stereotypes come from probably. But like it's so cool. Like even like the extended guy getting crucified scenes, sort of the like the discontinuous images that Elizabeth's son is watching at the beginning of the movie, even the extended scene where Elizabeth is watching the monk immolate himself, even the scene where she's looking at like the child in the Warsaw Ghetto, which happens later in the movie. I think these rather experimental touches are really effective. Yeah, I absolutely see how this is the blueprint. If these women made out, they could have solved a lot of problems, I think.
For real.
Yeah.
Many are saying this.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah. This is one of the best movies ever made. It's incredible in just about every aspect of its execution. I also love the kind of like experimental, like formalist kind of modalities it uses. The performances are so good. I'm deeply compelled by its statement on like the nature of filmmaking. I feel like a lot of like there's always that Oscar movie that's about filmmaking, and it is just this sort of like self-sucking like artists are truth tellers, and it's beautiful how we all come together to do what we're doing, that you're watching now or whatever. And I like that. Well, my personal interpretation of Persona is that it's just like deeply self-loathing. I think that it sees actors and filmmakers like mostly as like cowards and parasites who can't face themselves, who lock themselves away behind like layers of artifice and silence and just sort of steal the pain of others for glory and attention. That they're people who would rather like go insane than deal with the real consequences of existing. But yeah, I think it's great. It's one of the best looking things I've ever seen. Like I never get sick of just looking at it, It's just so beautiful, and it's able to like cut all of this like other footage into it in like in a way that like just sort of enhances its own aesthetic. I don't know. I love it. I love this movie. I love to see two girl bosses run shit. We love it.
Yeah, this was part of my like early education. I remember being, the world of like what was possible with cinema was upended when I saw this. Much in the way that when I was a teenager, 8.5 was like, oh, this is about how a piece of shit director makes a movie. It's about making a movie, and it don't I suck in a lot of ways as a director. And Godard, of course, all the people that get mentioned. And you're right, like this is one of the best movies ever made. And books have been written about it. Ink has been spilled. I hadn't opened it until just now, but I read the essay for the Criterion Blu-ray, and it's it's quite good, but it's also it immediately is like, well, as Susan Sontag said, I'm like, all right. I know. I'm like, babe, been there. And of course, like, and the thing, and I sorry, I don't mean to sound anti-intellectual or like or whatever. I think I admire Sontag greatly. I actually think she is totally wrong about her against interpretation thing. However, like, I mean, it's a movie that on the level of the talking about film and the history of film, it really lends itself to a discussion that's kind of high-minded and academic. And like Hegel gets brought up really briefly in the essay, and but again, I say this not with an intellectual strain, but only because my experience of the movie as a kid and even now is one of just total bewitchment. Sven Nykvist is, in my mind, one of the greatest photographers of all time. I think. So much of my life, just having Ingmar Bergman's black and white films DP'd by Sven Nykvist just on in the background, volume off. I'm like listening to something else. I'm in a different world, but I'm occasionally seeing these images, and my God, they're the most beautifully composed images. And if there's ever a case to be made for like an OLED,
yeah, for real,
and why you need inky dark fucking blacks, but I've just got the Blu-ray, and it's just the blacks, man, the lights, the contrast, the how stage like and precise the movement is. That moment of the one that really like just wrapped me as a kid, and I think it was one of the first instances of course, I understood myself at that time to be queer, and like I had a working knowledge of what like male queerness was, but there's that moment where like there's the foghorn, and it's very foggy, and they're just kind of like resting their heads on each other. They're in nightgowns while that like foghorn blows. And I'm like, oh, this is what lesbianism is. I was unfamiliar with it. I mean, it's really not Bergman's intent. And funny, there's a lot to be said about like what Bergman was kind of going through as a person when he wrote this. But yeah, my experience of the film, just to reel it back, is one of just like a kind of rapture at the beauty of it. The sound, the texture, how it leads in with all these like expressive, there's a phallus, and then there's a brick wall, and the brick wall dissolves into the illusion of depth in a forest, and then there's a dead woman, but she's actually alive, and then there's the child, and the child's reading, but the child sees the mother figure, and the mother figure is shifting, and the mother figure is a screen, and the cinema is a screen, and he's trying to access the screen, but he can only touch the surface of the screen. And I'm like, holy shit, I didn't know that you could do this. I didn't know that this was legal, and that's the thing. All these things that like busted up my brain as a kid, like Jodorowsky and whatever. It was like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could do that. And like to me, this movie has always been like a deeply special and to me like deeply erotic film. There's nothing quite like the electricity of these two women on screen together. And the way that they're shot, it's just, there's something infinitely libidinally interesting, and I'm invested in it in such like an almost carnal way, in a way that like pornography could never. And I mean, to me that's it's primary. It's like all the destabilizing art film elements and the beauty of the thing. I love this fucking movie.
I think for me, so because this is such a landmark movie, after I watched it, I was like, let me find the academia, right? I want to see Sontag, I want to see Hegel, give it. And which, by the way, Susan Sontag is a sponsor of SWIMFANS podcast, so we love her here. But
we have a branded cigarette. You can buy at your local 7-Eleven.
Love you, Susan.
But like, I think what I was like most rapt by was this sort of, what's like a really timely metaphor. Like if you were to let, like sort of like a Markov chain bot just sort of like go, like it's gonna like induce psychosis in itself. Like if you like let it run long enough, it's just going to like keep feeding strings upon itself over and over again. It's going, even if there was ever any sense to be had, it's going to become complete nonsense. And I think something similar would happen to a person if they were forced to speak to a perfect mirror for like in isolation for like days on end, right? So in this movie, you have Elizabeth who, very meaningfully looks similar to Alma. They have sort of a similar build, a similar like hair color. And so as Alma, a woman who, in the text, she's like, oh, no one ever lets me talk. Like I'm banned from yapping, right? So it's so nice that you'll let me talk. She has this perfect confidant, this perfect mirror where she can like deposit all of her thoughts, all of her bad memories, all of her, just everything she's ever wanted to get off her chest. She can sort of like feed this to Elizabeth. But the thing about the mirror is that what if the mirror is looking at you, man? And so when she confronts the idea that this mirror is a two-way situation, where the mirror that she's staring into is now staring back, I love this sort of this, I guess, ego death, where like after this initial hurt, once it becomes clear that Elizabeth is like not just a mannequin for her to be able to like project things onto or to tell things to. She's not a diary. When it becomes clear that she's conscious, there's some sort of like ego death that occurs because in this isolation, this mirror, she loses track of which side of the mirror she's on. And then, once that fully reverses, we see that Elizabeth also has things that she's ashamed of. And so this sort of like through the looking glass effect occurs where now the person who was the mirror becomes the person being seen in the mirror. And I'm going to keep saying the word mirror over and over again because I think it's to me, I think this movie's a lot of things. Like I'm not saying this is the only correct interpretation, but like for me, it was a very interesting study of consciousness because so much of human consciousness is based on like the cause and effect of what we do. Like your personality is formed by you acting and then people reacting to that. And then over time that sort of shapes who you become as a person. And so like in this sort of closed system where Alma finds this perfect mirror, she's able to sort of like be herself. And she's able to find what she thinks is this perfect sort of avatar for her woes and her loves and her lows and everything. And then when that's seen to be untrue, this breakdown of consciousness, this sort of like reverberation of consciousness backwards into these two women becoming depersonalized for a while. I don't know. I think that's really interesting. There's something like very like pop psychology sounds derogatory, but I mean like when you didn't really know what the human mind was capable of yet. Like this is like MK Ultra days. Like they're just like trying whatever, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so like, this is obviously, it's called Persona. So it's obviously based on like Carl Jung and there's shades of that here, but this sort of malleability of the human consciousness that I think is both true and untrue at the same time is like what my real read that I got from it on this watch.
Yeah. I love how it, just sort of lets her project onto the actress for the first half. You really get like no sort of sense of malice or just kind of like how big of a coward she is when it comes to like her own life. Yeah, I love that sort of like reveal that like you don't know who this woman is. This like, this could be anyone. She has like a whole set of her own baggage that she's not dealing with. Like I think you're dead on there.
Yeah, I mean to me that's like the most compelling part is the shifting power dynamics. Where Alma, finds like even in this like person that is incapable of responding to her verbally, finding safety and comfort. And then to find that safety and comfort is actually being used as a well of like vampire, like she's vampirically studying this person. It's interesting to her. It's such a it's such an insane, like, I think as as a kid I didn't really understand it, but as an adult, like that letter that oh, she's so fascinating, right? That idea that you're just being studied by someone that you trusted. And then from that position of power that Elizabeth occupies, and I think being nonverbal and the doctor kind of like lays out the whole shit in the beginning. It's like the only time we see the doctors when she just like lights a cigarette and she's like, suicide, nope, too messy. Not talking, yep. You got
she
it.
Gets
you don't
her
get to,
ass.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like immediately, and it's so fascinating because it's just like, oh yeah, you don't have to play a role. You get to be safe. You get to wall off the world, and then that when the shift comes and Alma, through some sort of bleeding through of the psychology, right, of her, to me it reads as like her like being confused at like playing Elizabeth with her husband, but then like gleaning something from that, right? Like knowing what she can't know, what she can't possibly know, which is that you lack a certain motherliness, and then this child that you pawned off on nannies loves you dearly, and you just cannot fucking stand the kid. Again, like that power shifts, and we're doing like cinema language too. Like once it kind of like flips back onto her, like almost back in her nurse outfit, and she's like, it's that sequence right before she just starts slapping the shit out of her. She's like, she's like above her, in the visual language of the film. She has all of the power, and Elizabeth is just backed into a corner. And I think it's like ultimately hopeful, and like Jennifer had spoken about, it was interesting reading this essay and reading the interview, which I'd previously never read, where Bergman, intent doesn't matter, of course, and I don't know that Bergman really intended all the psychoanalytical things, but I mean, it was in the air, and I think art, if anything, has demonstrated itself to be time and time again influenced by whoever's talking about maternal phalluses at the time, or like how we're driven by an unconscious, and that there's a superego id relationship, and so on and so forth. So I don't know that he can plead innocent in this case, but like that idea that Elizabeth is an artist, and isn't the idea like in this like very naive, like childlike way, an earnest way that Alma kind of presents. She's so full of like life and character, and so like eager to wear even the trickier parts of her life on her sleeve. She's like, I really admire you as an artist. Like an artist gives to the world. It's such a profound thing, and like in that like that innocence is shown to be like something that's ill-founded. that how the film constructs of the artist is again something that is quite literally vampiric. Alma scratches herself so that Elizabeth might drink from her fucking blood, like literally. And I just as a quick aside, this movie
and pals.
Yeah, this movie paired with Daughters of Darkness, also about lesbians and vampires, would be a fucking killer double feature. But like that idea of not only pointing at like the artifice of the film, right? We begin with this idea of the projector. The projector is a machine. The machine brings to life the images. It brings to life fantasies. It brings to life ideas of what the real is. But like one thing that Bergman said in the interview in the Criterion little thing that I found very interesting was that the real, the news, what's happening, has outstripped and outpaced the artist. The artist is left behind when confronted with like, seeing live Jack Ruby plug Oswald. Or the monk setting himself on fire in protest of the Vietnam War. This like really skeptical, really scathing kind of view from a man of like theater, right? It's important to note that like Bergman was a theater guy who also made films. So he's coming from that place of, Bertolt Brecht's, like, I'm pointing at the artifice of the stage, and there's actors on it, but it's artifice. There's no attempt at the illusion of things. It's all artifice. And yeah, that critical lens, that critical disposition to the idea of himself as a filmmaker, the idea of the artist or the actor playing an artist or an actor, and kind of like coming in with this like something that like David Lynch would, this movie ran so that David Lynch's Mulholland Drive could just fucking sprint.
Literally. Yeah.
So, it's like there's something tender and like reverent and about the construction of such a beautiful film, while also being at one's very core like critical of the medium itself.
I mean, I think there's something so okay, because obviously the Syrian indictment of Elizabeth is the repeated monologue at the end where Alma tells her, you're so fucking bad at being a mom, you hate your disgusting son, it's it's done twice, so you really emphasize and hear every syllable, but I think like almost as scathing, and I think like maybe even almost more universal, because like I don't know, there are people who aren't able to become mothers. And so like, that perhaps that particular fear is lost on someone like me. But like the lines earlier that the doctor says to Elizabeth, where she's like, I'm paraphrasing, but she's like, you'll get bored of this too. You can just keep being mute until you're tired of it. And then you can cast that off like every other role you've ever done. And like in some ways that's literal because she's a stage actress. But in like another way, like that, I don't know, that line really hit me because like there's so many, I don't know, I've been so many different kinds of people. I think everybody's been so many different kinds of people. And so it's sort of this kind of indictment about this mutable condition of being a person. Like, I mean, we see how mutable it goes on to be. These two ladies like merge for a while. But like, I mean, like, she could be saying that to anybody about like, oh, pretend to care about this idea, this person, this situation. You'll discard it just as you discarded everything else. You'll go on to do something else when you're bored of it. And, to me, like my interpretation is that the doctor says it with such a remove that it's like castigating. Yeah. Like, I mean, she too is a person, but she's castigating Elizabeth and the viewer, I think, for being having the human condition, and I'm like, damn, sorry. Sorry about that.
Yeah, there's something. One of the lines that really gets me and really hit me this watch was Alma at the end says, "I'm nothing like you. I can change." There's something. I don't know. I want to call it empowering, but it's like this idea that Alma does, like, through this experience, like make passage through like an old version of herself. I think it's kind of grim when it comes to Elizabeth, if I'm thinking about like how things land, which maybe is like too much of a reading the film in too much of a narrative way. Or like I'm being like a little too literal with it, but the idea that Alma is a person, that she can change, and that like what Elizabeth is like a shapeshifter, of course, like, but she's not without the infliction of like the pain of being alive, and the pain of again, like, things I'll never like fully understand, but the idea of there's a kind of inverse, right, of Alma becoming accidentally impregnated by the child and then having an abortion because she felt that was the right thing to do, and then Elizabeth thinking that becoming a mother was the right thing to do, and then regretting it, right? These from a script like written by a man, and I'm of the understanding that B.B. Anderson was like, so this was clearly written by a man. I'm going to change some things, which I love. But yeah, this idea of these people, and they're shown to be, and I guess this is not meant to be a pun, they're like parallel paths through the world of adopting certain identities, right? Like in the beginning when Alma, when Alma is like doing her skincare routine and speaking about her fiance and like how her path is just kind of laid out for her. It's one of like, it's such an earnest like monologue. She's speaking so freely about how this whole like being a nurse thing and this whole getting engaged to this man that we don't see, that's my path and I'm okay with that. And then the movie shows that maybe she isn't though. I think that there's a generosity, I think, even as like scathing as it is, to this idea of wanting to like constitute as a person your identity, and then like once you do it, you're like fuck, no, shit, fuck, no, fuck, no, this is not what I had in mind at all. Oh no, to me on that level of like how we like Josh, you're saying how we create identities based on like how people have reacted, approval, disapproval, to us, and how we think our internal lives should dictate how we present to the world, whether that's conscious or unconscious. It's just it's like a fascinating prism to look at in that way, where it's like, oh, like the way that I carry on is a persona, like and in that way empowering, right? Like it's it like in that way that like Alma is given like introspection into the way that she's presented herself, more in a devastating nuclear way in Elizabeth's case, where she just gets her whole fucking like internal life just chewed back at her. But like that idea of being able to see that one is in a certain sense performing.
I think like something that this movie gets away with that I think like nothing else gets away with, and like normally I think I would hate, is that this movie, I think like at once is greatly about sort of what we've been saying. Like it's about this sort of mutability of personhood. Like you're supposed to change, and it's natural to have this sort of transitory state to yourself. Like I think the movie is quite generous, especially in that scene, Craig, and it's such a sublime scene too. It's so like stage like when she's putting the moisturizer on her face and she's like doing that. I think there's like a real generosity there where she does sort of be like, it's fine what's happening. Like, I mean, I like my job and I like my fiance, and it's so fine. Like I love my little path that I'm stuck on and can't change. And the path is good. And actually, and then the movie really goes out of its way to like sort of scold Elizabeth for just as she's casted off every role, right? She's casted off all of her roles as an actress, of her role as like this mute who's taking advantage of this woman, as she's casting off even her role of being Alma. She too has casted off this role of being a mother. Like she took it on carelessly and she realized she didn't like it, so she's just like, yeah, fuck this kid, in fact. What I mean to say is, I think few things could get away with in the same breath being like, isn't it wondrous how mutable the human condition is? And it's like, and also, don't you kind of suck ass for not being like a fixed point? And aren't those two things it holds those two limes at the same time in a way that I think I would find annoying in a lesser movie, but in this it just feels really encapsulating. Like the movie feels like it has is holding all of these ideas at once in a way that I don't know. I think it's hard for art to hold multiple conflicting ideas simultaneously sometimes.
It's one of the final shots of the movie, and it's like on a film set from her perspective as like the camera comes down and you see that reflection of her in the mirror. It's kind of like, no, you didn't really learn anything. You kind of just don't really have the capacity to not do this. So here you are on camera again.
Yeah.
We moved on. You didn't learn anything. You didn't, grow. You just sort of did the thing you always do and you're back,
Other people grow and change, but you suck actually.
And it does that all in like 2 seconds. It completely nails that point in like so fast and so direct. It's beautiful.
Yeah, Alma gets to leave. Like she literally takes a bus and she leaves. But Elizabeth is trapped on set. Like that. It's such a fucking quick shot. It can't be more than like 5 seconds, right? Of the crane that the camera's on, coming in, and then we see an upside down reflection. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. But like it just to me, my read is that Alma gets to be free, or in this way she's jettisoned something. She's like in this like psychoanalytical therapy situation, she's been able to voice things that she hasn't voiced, and like she says, she gets to change, and she's nothing like Elizabeth and I think it's interesting, like Elizabeth the artist versus Elizabeth the person. I think it leaves Elizabeth on a sour note and Alma on something like a positive note.
Yeah, I think with Elizabeth, it's just vanity, and Alma actually gets to exist as a person. That was a real person.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the best ending for all of us.
Well, and I mean, like, if you want to get like real cute about it, I mean, like the fact that Alma and Elizabeth, like, at some points aren't meaningfully distinct from one another. I mean, if you wanted to look at them as the same woman, it's like, oh, here's when it's meaningful and useful to be a person who's mutable and changing. But also here's the part of you that's changing because you are cowardly, or you're venal, or you're selfish, like people are designed to be. And so, like, because we have these two women that are in the text of the movie, temporarily the same lady, you really do get this sort of sense that it's just like at once sort of being like being a guy sucks, but also being a guy is cool at the same time. And these two things in the same person are true at the same time.
Yeah. Like if we could understand them as one composite identity, then she gets to wear the mask while also being able to exist as a person. Having a persona that's like, I don't know, more authentic or something. That sounds gross coming out of my mouth, the word authenticity. But
We'll forgive you.
It's thank you. Yeah, but as a kind of like, if we're to understand that there maybe perhaps isn't a distinction between characters here, that they're a composite identity, which I think is like a totally like I feel like it's there in the movie,
absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Where like she gets to adopt the things while also not choking down what's obvious, like what's killing her. She gets to exercise those demons.
Yeah, that rocks. It's so cool to be a person and so evil at the same time, and I love to see it. You love to see it happen.
What's that quote from Candyman? It's a blessed condition to be known but not have to be. That's what she's gunning for. That's what Elizabeth is gunning for.
Real. Wish that were me. I'm sick of being. When they were talking about like the beach orgy scene, which is a great scene. I mean, the monologue is great. All I could think about though was the Nicole Kidman monologue from Eyes Wide Shut. I'm like, they had the same weekend. That's the same.
Yeah. One was imagining getting piped down, and the other one was actually getting piped down. Yeah. Yeah.
I never saw that parallel before, but yeah, it probably was inspired by this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I mean,
I
like,
have to believe that Kubrick was a huge fucking nerd about Bergman.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely seems like every director until 1990 at the earliest is inspired by this movie. Like, I mean, I completely see how, if you're a person who feels deeply about the medium, like, I mean, this movie just really like breathes it. So completely wouldn't be surprised if this was living in the back of Kubrick's mind for a while.
Oh shit! Sorry. So I've just come across a letter that Stanley Kubrick wrote to Bergman. I'm not gonna read it all. I'm not gonna read it all. Dear Mr. Bergman, you have most certainly received enough acclaim and success throughout the world to make this note quite unnecessary. But for whatever it's worth, I should like to add my praise and gratitude as a fellow director for the unearthly and brilliant contribution you have made to the world by your films.
All right. Well, that settles that. Mission accomplished, team.
Confirmed.
But yeah,
Myth busted.
Well, that's the thing when you fucking cook like this, you inspire generations of filmmakers. Like the ripple effects are crazy. Yeah, I mean, a movie like this is an atomic bomb.
Yeah, I wished I'd seen this ages ago.
Yeah, I didn't see it till Craig showed it to me.
I mean, we all come from Craig. At the end of the day.
We all come from
true.
Craig, and as I've just explained in the past, all my initial learning about movies came from Netflix. So thank you, Netflix, or at least what you used to be, until you became this fucking monster that I need to put down and take to behind the shed and put down. You used to send DVDs that made my mind explode right to my mailbox, and now you're making 11
Stranger Things 5.
Yeah, you're making 11 kill the fucking the big gooey guy to Blondie or whatever. I don't know, just
I don't think we ever talked about that season. That was a terrible season of television.
Yeah, sorry, just really
that was
quick.
a bad show, but
so,
they hit an all-time low with that one.
So I think it's actually really funny to talk about Stranger Things right in the middle of a fucking the Persona episode. I love the first
similar
season.
Similar works of art, I'd say.
I adore the first season. I think it's fantastic. I love the Jonathan Nancy dynamic. I think there's a lot in the first season that's fantastic. The fourth season, I was like, oh my god, they picked it back up. They got their stride back. They're gonna slam dunk the season 5 thing, and then season 5 came out and it ruined everything for me. I find it fucking unwatchable now. I was like, season 4, they really they picked up the mess and they pulled some things together, and it was still a little bit hairy, and they had potential, and then they just fucking like crashed that car into the wall at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Fucking unbelievable. Sorry, back to Persona.
Sorry, I'm not ready to go back yet. Was season 4 the one where like the new girl is getting like brain jacked, but like listening to Kate Bush say it's your life?
Yeah.
Okay, I was kind of into that.
Yes.
So
yes.
I saw
that scene is good. My opinion is that the show was never really that good.
I mean, I had like a neutral positive time. I got to tell you though, I don't remember what happens in any particular season of Stranger Things. But I had watched the first season, then I think I checked out for years and years and years, and then like season 4 came out and everybody was talking about the Kate Bush mention. So I'm like, hey Matt, we need an unlimited amount of TV to watch. Do you want to catch up on Stranger Things? And then by the time I caught up, I think that was like a half season or something. And then they were going to do another half season. I've never seen anything past that. So to me, the last episode of Stranger Things was when Kate Bush saves that girl.
Just stay there. Stay there.
It ended there, actually. You're so good.
Yep. Yeah. It didn't
no
continue.
episodes exist beyond that.
I fucking mentally, I wish I was still there.
Even season 4 was a fucking slog, man. That shit was way too long.
Was that the one where the kids were like at the mall? Like they were at the mall?
No, that's season
3.
Yeah, season 3's the mall. The mall in Russia. Yeah, that's season 3.
All right. I don't know what was season 4 the one with like the metal kid, like the kid with like the glam rock hair. Okay.
You didn't. I don't think you saw this part, but there's a part in the second half of the season where he plays like master of puppets while a bunch of demons attack. It sucks so fucking bad.
Okay.
I love that song. I love that song so much, but I could not with that.
I fucking loved it, man. He's in the Upside Down. He's fucking playing master of puppets. There's demon bats flying all around him. I love that shit. I loved it.
I can't. It's the same problem I have with like Woody Allen films, where it just comes down to just listing things you remember. And every season without fail has like 5 moments where characters just stand around and just list shit from the 80s, and it makes me rabid.
No, I understand. I think season 4 handles its dropping of the time period and the references much better than the other seasons.
Also, I feel like someone did the research, and like Master of Puppets was like barely out at the time when that scene happened, and that's like an annoying thing to get hung up on. But I also think that if you're going to go so far as to make a period piece, you should at least embrace those details. Like I knew, like when I watched Y2K, I knew I was fucked when the first scene that they had that was set in a gas station and all of the products on the shelves were the modern products. I was like, we're fucked. This movie's gonna fucking suck. They don't care. They don't care enough to get the fucking bag of Doritos to look right. They're not gonna give a shit about their story either.
Well, I mean, Y2K was an evil movie for morons. So
one of the worst. I like Kyle Mooney a lot, but man, what a fucking wasted opportunity.
Yeah. Did you see that movie, Craig?
So great.
I've never seen it. I've never seen it. Sorry, I want to talk really quickly. The film A Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe, right? At one point when he's like all domestic with his wife uses Tupperware, but Tupperware like wasn't invented in that way yet. At least when the film was set. And somebody told me that, and I fucking I remember just not knowing how to react.
I know it's my fault.
And it's like
Y2K, like fucking Y2K. Thong Song wasn't even out yet.
Yeah,
there's a whole scene.
You can
and
just
I'm like,
Google
that's
that.
the spring break anthem of the year 2000. What the fuck is it doing here at New Year's?
I love Persona.
I was alive. You can't lie to me like this.
Actually, sorry. The worst problem with Y2K wasn't that. It was that it just didn't have a middle. That was the fatal flaw. There was like a setup that was like kind of fun, and then it just went right to everyone getting dismembered by like robots or whatever. And I'm like, you forgot to have a journey to this movie.
Like it almost starts as like not like a parody of Superbad, but like just kind of like a regurgitation of it. And then like I kind of forgot for a while that it was like a machines attacking movie. And then it just sort of like botched the transition from like its first modality to its second. And then I don't think it ever recovered for me.
Yeah. I mean, once it starts dismembering like Y2K teenagers and you're like, oh, you forgot to like give them character traits that would make me feel bummed or, pleased that they got dismembered by robots. I'm like, okay, well, you've jumped the shark entirely. You forgot to make a movie here.
Yeah.
You made floating signifiers, and they weren't even correct.
I see you've replaced character development with references, so you might want to go back into your script and clean that up a bit.
many such cases.
Saturday Morning All-Star Hits is pretty good, though.
Persona's a good movie.
Persona's so good, you guys.
They shot the Thong Song music video on the same island that they filmed Persona on.
That would be so funny.
They went all the way
Cisco,
to
the cheapest way we can make this video, like Hype Williams is talking to him or whatever. And he's like, the cheapest way we can make this video is to shoot it on a remote island in Sweden.
You want that Bergman shit, man?
Sven Nyquist is lensing the Thong Song music video. Those tracking shots of asses.
Yeah, so, some Swedish guy is doing the baby got back thing with tugging on the collar.
Yeah. Just spray painting Cisco's hair silver.
I liked Persona. I'm glad I finally saw
Persona's so good.
Do you guys have any final thoughts? I mean, like, it's just a sublime piece of like motion picture. Everything about it is great. Yeah, there's nothing about it that I think doesn't work perfectly in the way that it wants to. So, I mean, my final thoughts is that the good movie is in fact quite good.
Yeah, I would say really, if you haven't seen it, like, seek it out. We've talked about the entire thing, but like, honestly, just the experience of like watching it and like how it edits things and how it will like just structurally, it's structurally interesting. It's a deeply compelling watch, and it's like 85 minutes long. Like, you can't spoil the experience of watching it. It's just so stunning in its construction. Like, the first time I saw it with Craig, I had no fucking idea what this movie was about, but it was amazing. Like, I just sort of let it wash over me, and it's a movie you don't really have to get super analytical about, even though it is very much inviting you to do that.
Yeah, no, I mean, this movie kicks ass. I think Bibi Andersson is one of my favorite actresses. Of course, she can be seen very young in Seventh Seal. She can be seen in Wild Strawberries, Passion of Anna, Magician. But yeah, I think there's something hypnotic and Twilight-y about her performance here that, no disrespect to her other performances, but like, man, I just, her performance as Alma here is just so fucking crazy. It's in all respect to Liv as well. I think to go through a whole fucking movie and be like, you don't have any lines, but to carry and be this character is just through physicality, just through the presence. These are just two masterful performances that, I mean, again, it's like it's one of these things that like lightning in a bottle. Like how is it even humanly possible that you got this type of director of photography, this type of performance, this type of writing, all sewn up in this little 85-minute package that would then change like cinema forever and so on and so forth. It's just crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And to have done this so early in like film canon, right? Like, I mean, the medium was only 60 years old at this point, and like to have like come out with such a heater. It's like if you made the best painting in like 400 BC or 4000 BC, whatever.
Something strange. Bibi Andersson's middle name, you want to guess it? It's Elizabeth. Not sure if that was a thing, but
This goes all the way to the top.
It goes all the way to the top. But Kubrick didn't fake the moon landing. Sven Nykvist. Actually, if Sven Nykvist faked the moon landing, everyone would know. It'd be so fucking obvious.
It looks so sick.
It'd be so beautiful.
Yeah, everyone's like, damn, the moon is eating.
This looks a lot like this beach in Sweden.
So I gave this 4.5 stars, and I do think it was because I think this movie, more so than many other movies, would really reward like subsequent viewings. Like, I think this is a movie that you could really mine from the more you see it. and the more it kind of like sinks into you. And so I think I'm going to keep that rating for now, even though this is probably a 5-star movie for me. But like, I think I just need to see it again.
You just want to deny it the straight 5 from everyone.
Did you guys give it 5
for the
stars?
Letterboxd? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
This is
yeah.
easy
5
5
stars.
for me.
Easy 5. Yeah.
Okay, no, well, fine, then I'll go up. No, I'm not cruel. I couldn't
peer
be so
pressure
cruel.
you into fucking rating it 5 stars.
No,
sorry.
That wasn't peer pressure. That was a salient point.
Actually, upon finishing the film, Susan Sontag was kind of like the original hipster in many respects, and really went to the mat for people like Godard and Bergman, defending them when people were quite critical, by and large. And then, of course, Sontag vindicated by time, that these were masterpieces when she was defending them. But I was thinking it'd be so fucking funny if Sontag had a fucking letterbox, and that's it. That's as far as like the joke got. But yeah, no, she'd see your 4.5 stars on Persona and immediately unfollow you.
No, she'll write like a 90-page essay about it, and it'll just like ruin my life forever and ever.
On Mackenzie.
Yeah, seriously. Notes on some bitch.
Notes on a faggot.
Notes on my fucking op.
Susan, please don't pull your funding. That's the only thing keeping the show going.
When Bergman died, Jonathan Rosenbaum wrote an article called "Scenes from an Overrated Career."
Holy shit, that's cold-blooded.
Get his ass.
Yeah. I mean, I do love. I love when a critic is like unabashedly just gonna go for it. You know.
You get interesting takes on like well covered subjects that way.
Yeah. No. There's a lot of like hemming and hawing. I want someone that takes a fucking like hard ass stance. You know, it's why I can never take seriously the people that write for like the fucking Chicago Sun-Times or whatever about art. I'm like, I don't fucking care, man. Like you're just saying like nice things. You're being polite.
No, I think a remarkable film critic needs like two things. I mean, they need a lot of things, right? Like cool thoughts, but like, what separates the wheat from the chaff? Okay, is that like you have to have like incredibly hot takes about like universally beloved pieces of art, but also you need to absolutely defend things that are complete dreck to most people, but you have like the brain genius take about it, and that's what really makes it really elevates a critic in my eyes, is to have shit where like my favorite film critics, they'll like post something and I'm like, you're the stupidest person I've ever seen in my life. I don't think you watched this movie. But then also they go to bat for like a movie you've never heard of from like 1982. And it's like, it's like the most art they've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, this is a guy with thoughts I can respect.
Not to harp on Rosenbaum for too long, but there was this project to like create the Spielberg canon where they had like film critics like list their top 5 Spielberg films. And Rosenbaum's was like number 1, AI, artificial intelligence. Number 2, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Number 3, 1941. And then numbers 4 and 5 were blank, as if he created nothing else that came close to like 1941, a movie so universally hated that I fully skipped it.
That's pimp shit.
You just can't fuck, like, even when it's like I'm a huge Spielberg apologist, I'm like, you fucking headshotted that fucking article, man. Great fucking job.
That's so awesome. You really do just have to have, again, to be a remarkable critic, you do have to have a little bit of a kink for getting yelled at.
Yeah.
Yep.
And thank you for it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you.
Me when I see Indiana Jones, this is fucking bullshit. I hate what's happening.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to this episode of SwimFans Unknown Pleasures. You can find the show wherever you get your podcasts. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you listen, please rate, please review, please subscribe, please do all of that fun stuff. And you can find the show on all of the social medias. So Blue Sky, Instagram, Letterboxd. That is user SwimFans Pod. So you can give us a follow over on those places. If you want to ask us a question, if you want to send in a recommendation, if you want to say hi to Craig, you can do that at swimfanspodcast@gmail.com. Be nice to Craig, please. He monitors the email inbox. So that's swimfanspodcast@gmail.com. And lastly, we do have a Patreon. That is patreon.com/swimfans. For as low as $1 a month, you can get access to the entire back catalog of SwimFans Patreon episodes. All sorts of fun stuff over there if you want to become an elite dove. And thank you to the doves that we have. Yes, we do. I am on social media at all those same spots. User Amons, AMONNS. I cracked open. Okay. I recently got my my filthy paws on several 35 millimeter prints of Disney movies, like the Disney Renaissance movies. So I have Sleeping Beauty, Mulan, I think, Little Mermaid. Anyway, but what's meaningful is that I watched the 35 millimeter prints of Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast, and they're quite pretty. The film grain is really nice. The Aladdin one in particular, I thought like the darks in that movie are so dark that it's like kind of underexposed, which you'd be like, I wish that was corrected a bit. But then like the colors are so vibrant and beautiful that it's like, oh, you really couldn't, or you would lose these beautiful colors. So I guess it's fine. But the film grain is nice. I love the sort of, you can really like, they have like the marks in the film, like where you, I don't know, the circles on like a film print.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Oh, it's cool. I like to see it. I love Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast, so it was fun for me. Jennifer.
Sorry, I think I missed part of that. Did you say you found like scans of 35 millimeter prints, or you've been like going to the movies to watch 35 millimeter prints?
No, I have scans of 35 millimeter prints.
Oh, okay, hell yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Those are so much fun. I have a great one of like Terminator 2.
Ooh.
Which is
nice.
Like it's like a really fucking fun way to watch that. Yeah, you can follow me on Blue Sky, Diatron5.swimfanspod.com. I'm on Letterboxd Diatron. I really haven't watched any movies lately that weren't for this show. I've been playing Drakengard for PS2. It's pretty cool. The game part kind of sucks, but the story is wild in like a kind of an Elric of Melniboné kind of way, where people like sort of bind themselves to magic and then are driven insane as a result of it, which is really fun. Yeah, working my way through that.
So this isn't on the PS2, but now you have to get really into Nier. So we can talk about it.
My plan is to get there eventually.
Awesome.
I think
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I think I'm gonna play Drakengard 1 and then go straight to Nier. From what I understand, Drakengard 2 is sort of like a weird kind of offshoot and actually takes place after a different ending of Drakengard than Nier does. It's a weird fucking timeline.
Yeah. The first Nier is like really great, but the payoff for Nier Automata is amazing. I think you'll really appreciate it artistically.
Yeah. I played a bit of it a while ago when I was still in Chicago, but I fell off of it. It's crazy to see kind of like they're like very different games, but you can still kind of see the Nier Automata in it. It's pretty cool. Craig.
You can find me at Craig Neeson on Instagram and Letterboxd, craigneeson.com. I also haven't been watching movies in the intervening period. There's a YouTube channel that Megan and I really like called Urban Rescue Ranch, where this born-again Christian guy in Waco has a bunch of animals, and it's really good. We also stumbled across something called this video title, Spiritually Depraved and Misery-Inducing Landscapes of North America, where this guy goes to this like commercial development in Texas and kind of like just he's a botanist. The channel is Crime Pays, Botany Doesn't, and he's like this botany nerd, and he's talking about how like of course, like there's biodiversity loss when you just like make a monocrop out of a commercial park or whatever. But he's like going like beat by beat through the like through the plants, through the through what like horrors the landscapers have wrought, and how like incompetent and how like thoughtless they're like all the kind of like things that I understand about like clear cutting an area that in this particular case had these beautiful mesquite trees, and he spoke about how like just like one mesquite tree can have this whole like ecosystem of like insects and so on, and then clear cutting them and then putting in these like shrubs that don't belong, that are tropical and they're gonna die for XYZ reason. I know it really put like language to something that only to me ever registered as a kind of depression, right? As a kind of like, oh, that's unfortunate that we keep doing that, right? Like it's we've made a parking lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's really fucking funny and like really insightful, and it clearly knows his shit. I would point people to those 2 YouTube channels for some edification on animals and plants as told by kind of deranged men.
You should
That's
post
so-
those
it's so
links in the
Nisonian.
Discord.
I will do that. I will absolutely do that.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.